that a lot of people have taken bliss off the table as being an option, as a way to be
Yes.
alive. Yeah, and even when I started exploring it myself, there was it was interesting because I was like, oh well, who am I to be bliss? Like, I was even thinking today, I was like, so here's a fun question for you guys. Um, who's the most blissed person you know? Isn't that interesting? Though, do you like? I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that. So what we're really doing, I guess, is actually creating a whole possibility, not just for ourselves, but for all the people around us. Well, it takes some focus, attention, and energy to actually generate something that's different than what other people are doing. What would it be to be alive as bliss, right? Ask your body, would you like to be alive as bliss? Body, if there was bliss flowing in every cell, atom, and molecule of your body, how much happier would you be?
Oh, wow. Yes.
Mhm. And would that be a more sacred space in which to live and breathe and flow through our lives?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, so what we're doing, I guess, is like at the magnificent banquet of life, we're expanding our scope and our vision and going, oh, there's another plate over there that I almost missed. And that looks like the yummiest one.
Yeah.
And so that's um, part of it is just being willing to perceive it, because our bodies are actually technological wonders, and the joy of embodiment and the potency of being embodied. So what would it be to be alive as the grace of bliss, and to put that on the table at the banquet of life, and then other people around you too can perceive that it's an option? Would that be fun? And never mind that, would it just be more fun to be alive in the realm of that? And what would be, so we can even ask our body, if you were alive as bliss, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much happier would you be? Because your body knows what that is. And so, can you think of a moment in your world or in your life where you experienced bliss or something close to it, effervescent joy? Everybody find something. And now, would you be willing to expand that and kick that up a few notches? See, so your body and you already have an awareness of what that energy is. It's not a foreign element to you. I believe we're actually designed to be alive as that. And so it's creating hmm, beyond the habits that we've lived from in the old paradigm of what it is to be human, and creating an entirely new template of what it is to be alive. And so that does take a wee bit of focus and attention, because if we are going to be at the effect of every thought and emotion that washes over us and allow that to run our universe, um, because we're in an environment that doesn't know a lot about bliss, chances are we'll never get to experience bliss unless we lend consciously some time, attention, and focus to generating that and tuning into that within our bodies, and teaching our bodies to be alive in a different way, right? Because one of the ways um, the biological system kind of functions is that it functions through um, the habits of the emotional um, body. And so even if there's nothing happening in our lives, our 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 cell receptors have certain receptors on them to receive certain chemicals. And so even if nothing's happening in our lives, we will create something in our minds to happen so that we can get the chemical fix of that emotional chemical release onto our cells so that our body knows it's alive. So part of moving out of the old world energies into the new possibility of what it actually is to be alive as bliss is knowing that it might take some consistency. And would you be willing to be that generous with yourself and to make that a commitment in your life. Because there's so many, the world that we live in is so visceral and it pulls our attention so many ways all the time. And there's a lot to focus on, and a lot of things to do and a lot of maintenance to take care of, and life normal stuff to take care of. But would you be willing to make the commitment to bliss anyways? And what if in that starts to pervade everything that you do throughout your entire life? And so it's like the willingness to live as delight, life delighting in itself. So if you tune into like the great central sun, or in the origins of which you come, the impetus for you to be here, the impetus to be alive, how much energy and joy and bliss did that actually take to bring forth this wholeness of you? And how strong was the urge and the impetus to, yes, to actually have you arrive here. Oh, and so I think we are at a really unique time. The what it is to be human. I think it's time for us to explore that. What we've been told and what we've been experiencing and what we've been osmosising in, as this is what it is to be human. What if there's so much more to being human than most people have even begun to explore? And would you be willing to have the courage to explore beyond the outer parameters of, of those constructs, so that you can actually begin to explore into the deeper, vaster presence and resonance and delight and beauty of what you truly are? Thursday nights, um, we were doing a call called Sweet Sovereignty. And I have today, I've been asking, like, what is this called? I've been asking for probably about a month now. And, because it would like to be called something different now. And it would like to be called Phoenix Sessions. And so it's like, because in the last year, it seems like what's been happening is the old energies and old densities have been moving out of our system. And it's been intense, hey? so, so it's like allowing ourselves to come into the ashes, to fall into the ashes, and any old world energies to burn up, what do they call that? The dross, burning off the dross, or the erroneous information of what we've perceived ourselves to be, so we can arise in the full glory and magnificence of that which we are truly designed to be. There's something really cool and about having a body, you guys, that really, like, I hope you are in wonder of that, or you will be in a second if you're not already. The capacity we have and the potency we have through having a body is profound. We collapse matter into form. That's what we are. We are generators of the reality that's playing out around us. And so, would you be willing to acknowledge that you have a trillion, zillion dollar piece of technology that you walk around in every day and take for granted, and forget that it is a precise instrument that you can utilize to generate anything that you would like to experience in this realm, and to be a huge contribution to all beings and yourself. Oh, and so would you be willing to acknowledge your body as being 1,000 times in a row, and allow that information and awareness to really sink into your system and into your mind and into your emotional body? Because how exciting is that if we get to generate and create anything? That's like a ticket to heaven. We're we have it. We are the ticket to heaven. It's not in the world somewhere coming to us. We are the generators and the creators of that through our technological wonder of our body, our mind, our emotions, our spirit. Mm. Mhm. And so I've talked about this before. I'm going to say this again. So, um, Greg Braden, I was watching a video of him. He was talking about visiting the monks, and the monks said the feeling is the prayer. That is the way that we interface with the matrix of this reality. And so, what would it be to generate through your body bliss? And what would the outpicturing of that be in your reality? And I don't even know if we can actually imagine what that would be. Because how, it's like how much bliss have we allowed ourselves thus far? And so if we take the volume button and turn that up, what's the outpicturing going to be of that? Yes, 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 yes. So would you be willing to come into resonance with your yes, I choose bliss. Yes, I choose bliss. So there's a mental construct around this too. So it's like, would you be willing to go beyond your justifications that hold the world as being static and the status quo? Um, and it's our justifications and our reasons, interpretations that hold it there in order to create the world you would actually like. Should we do some? Let's just do a little bit of clearing while we're doing this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run our hand over our governing meridian and clear off any old energies that are no longer serving us of the old world and invite in new generative energies that would be more life inducing for us. And so, yeah. So, would you be willing to give up your justifications to maintain the status quo of what it is to be human in order to explore and create your world from a place of greater scope and awareness and curiosity? Because if we're creating something we don't even know what it is, how do we do that? And how do we create those circumstances? And so, like as Joan said about the question, so what was the question that I was saying for a long time? Show me the interior, exterior environment and conditions that would allow me to actualize my bliss body here fully. Show me, take me to it, bring it to me. Neon signs in English, please. Mm. And um, we don't really have to know all the hows or what that looks like, because maybe we don't, and maybe that's okay. So, would you be willing to be okay with not knowing necessarily what that translates into? And uh, hmm, oh, there's another probably reason that a lot of people um, haven't taken the step to venture beyond bliss. How many people might leave your reality because they're no longer in resonance with you if you are really happy and missing out on a regular basis? How many people will find that so uncomfortable by the law of resonance, they just won't be able to be in your life? So, how many people have we dimmed our happiness for or our bliss for to create an environment that's comfortable for them to be around us? It, okay, where we've done that and all the justifications we have to maintaining the status quo. Yeah. So it feels like there's a whole new like potentiality that's opening. Like there's so much energy that's moved in this last year, um, that will allow us to more graciously and easily step into embodying our vaster true nature and starting to perceive that. And even in the last probably month or so, I've started to notice now I can feel bliss humming along my skin, and I can feel it in my belly, and I can feel it moving through my body. And so every time I'm aware of that, I acknowledge it. That's because if we acknowledge it, then that's the only way it becomes real to us. And that's the only way it becomes real to our bodies, so that our body actually receives that information. So acknowledging every time you feel the bliss moving through your body, or your mind, your thoughts when they're effervescent, having that, like you see like the sun sparkling on the snow, or the sunset, or the things that just make you go, oh, catch your breath and go, wow, majesty of it. And so acknowledging that bliss is alive and well within you, and it's flowing through your blood, and it's flowing through your mind, and it's flowing through your whole system. And it's more natural to us. The other, it takes so much more energy to hold on to the other. And so everywhere we've allocated our energies to holding on to the other, rather than allowing the spontaneous natural presence of life to arise within us as our inheritance and as our divine birthright, and as our what it is to be human. So everywhere we've misidentified what being human is based on old world energies rather than the true nature of what we are. What if it's something entirely different than 99.99% of the population is living? And would that be a worthy exploration? Would that be a worthy adventure? And would that be more fun? And what would happen for the people around you? What would be the generosity of your presence as being that, and the grace? Mhm.
I've noticed something since I've started putting some bliss in my life is Gary's reaction to me.
Oh,
He's much more caring and loving and
oh,
considerate. So something's working, sweetheart. Thank you.
oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, who knows how many levels of things that affects? Because it's almost like, to me, bliss is almost like our organic presence. That's not. It's like what we are when we're not corrupted by old world energies or distortions in our field of the truth of what we are, our vaster, deeper presence. And so how many things in our world and our lives would just fall into right order by choosing that one thing? Oh, there's a saying. I found this saying the other day. It takes a child of great courage to be happier than their parents. On the family call, we talked about this a little bit about the hidden loyalties. So everywhere you have loyalties to not be happier than your parents were or your ancestors were, because, or not be happier than the rest of the world is because they're suffering. So all the hidden loyalties you have to that idea. Hmm. And where have we made being human a burden rather than a delight? And anywhere that we've made our life or our living or our relationships a burden. And what if we were to create the space within us to allow those to be a delight? So, would you be willing to give yourself permission from the tips of your toes to the top of your heads to be the emanation and the embodiment in the presence of bliss, irregardless of what the world does or what the world doesn't do? Ooh, that made my nose tingle. Yum. Ah, would you be willing to give? Um, okay, so so would you be willing to allow the river of bliss to ripple down your timeline and pour through the heart of you, the heart of you at every moment of your life? And you can almost see, I almost see it like, I usually see it going up and down my spine, but what they showed me is, so the river going like this, but then it's almost like all the U's that were like lower than that frequency, it dipping down and lifting up the heart of you throughout your entire timeline. So would you be willing to allow, so the river of that will flow through every moment and uplift all of it, every second of you, allowing your heart, so allowing your barriers to fall down, 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 boop, gone, and that to flow through your heart of your entire. Okay, and that's not quite done. And would you be willing to allow it to be different now? And would you be willing to confound the world with your bliss? Oh, okay. And then so now that we have a nice steady stream of bliss running through the heart of us, that every us through all time and space, and they've all been lifted up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Now, would you be willing to allow that bliss to flow out of every you've ever been, to fill your entire environment? Oh, because there's enough, lots, and plenty of more for everybody. Ah, would you be willing to allow the generosity of that to flow through you? This is the other cool part about having a body, is the technological wonder of it, is that we're like the receiver, generator, and transmitter of information. So utilizing our capacity and our embodiment as a human to actualize that. So the receiving is allowing the river of bliss, the ocean of bliss, to fill you. The generator is focusing on it and allowing it to become strong and steady within you. And the transmission is allowing the river to flow and fill the environment around you. And I would also suggest that, so they say if we took every person and took all the space out of them, they would all fit into one little sugar cube. So we are mostly made of space. And so would you be willing to allow the bliss to take precedence over the old world energies? And how much naturally would that just flush out some of the old erroneous information that is no longer pertinent to us or our world? So that world is actually over. It is done. It is dead. Those constructs, it's just us that keeps restimulating them in our bodies. And so if we allowed the bliss energy in the ocean and the river of bliss to flow through our whole bodies and through the space of us, we would be creating a sacredness, a sacred space within us that would nourish every cell and atom and molecule of our bodies. And so, would you be willing to allow yourself to receive that and be that? And all the justifications we ever had to withhold from anyone or saw ourselves as the executioner, the punisher, the judgment, the whatever, would you be willing to allow, or been punished? Would you be willing to allow the frequencies and energies of bliss to wash through that now? and organically. So it's a principle of creation. It's an organic um, part of life, and so it takes much greater precedence than um, man-made thoughts, energies that aren't based on the cosmic laws. So allowing the bliss frequencies, energies, information, light, information to flow through all of that. And allowing yourselves mm, mm, to drink and drink and drink. Because it's almost like in our world, uh, I don't think it's been as nourishing for many people as what it could have been. And so it's like almost there's a part of us that's like looking for and looking for and looking for. And so allowing your body to be satisfied. So drink in the bliss in every cell and atom and molecule. And everywhere we've been seeking that outside of ourselves from external situations and circumstances and people and events, it's already within you, darling. And so then allowing your blood to become the dance of that. And to, if you, Dr. Emoto has those pictures of what different energies are when he freezes the water. And so would you be willing to see the structure of your blood changing so that you may be the emanation of that? And the hum in your bones. So I see our bones kind of like a musical instrument. There's actually a thing, they said, don't burn the bones of the yogi because they're echoing beautiful music. So would you be willing to allow your bones to hum and sing to the stars the song of bliss, the song of your natural presence, the song of life delighting in itself? And to allow the stars to sing back to you and to receive the generosity of that. Oh. Hmm. And allowing, I remember once I heard one of the reasons why yoga makes you feel so good is because your nervous system, it kind of stretches it, and so more light can come into it. And so, would you be willing to allow your nervous system to stretch out to receive and start to generate and flow that through your whole system? And our nervous system actually, we are profound beings indeed. Uh, if we stretched our nervous system out, we would actually could go all the way to the moon. And so that's a lot of information highways within us. Oh, so would you be willing to allow your nervous system to hum to the bliss of which you're naturally designed from? Yeah. Oh, as if it had been humming that way all your life, and that was as natural to you as breathing, as natural as walking. So allowing this information to uh, flow through your whole system from the beginning of this lifetime and through all existence. So would you be willing to, I'm hearing, confound them with your bliss? Yes. And so would you be willing to be the presence of that? Even if you don't have a reference point for it, even if you don't know what it is, would you be willing to explore what that would be to actually be alive as that? Oh, and the mind. Okay, so our mind. So what if our mind had always traveled the pathways of bliss? They talk about neural connections and neural links and things that wire together or fire together, wire together, thoughts that. So would you be willing to put the ocean of bliss in your mind and allow it to recalibrate the neural pathways. So that the neural pathways of bliss become strong and mighty as if they'd already been firing and wiring and flowing. Those thoughts, those energies, those awarenesses had been firing through your mind your whole life. Yeah, and allowing it to be different now. So I'd be willing to allow my body to be different now. It's okay. I'd be willing to allow it to be different. So allowing your neural pathways in your whole neural system. They actually say we actually have the same neural cells in our belly too. So they call it the belly brain. So would you be willing to allow also that information to settle into your belly and into your gut? Yeah, and allow those cells to receive uh, the grace and the generosity and the relaxation, right? Because how it's like bliss is 2 levels or 5 billion level, I don't know, beyond relaxation. So how relaxed, if you go right for bliss, would your body naturally be? What old information could, because we do tend to hold things in our stomach sometimes. Okay, so um allowing the bliss to become the predominant alpha energy in your belly. And allowing your belly to relax into that. If you would like. Mm. And allowing the bliss to run up and down your spine and reinform your entire system of this. Ooh. Okay, so subjective to as if it had been running up and down your spine for always. Would you be willing to allow it to be different now? Would you be willing to allow it to be different now? Would you be willing to allow it to be different? Oh. And everywhere we've suppressed or turned off our bliss to accommodate other people. Oh, okay, even though I don't know who I may or may not be, if I choose bliss and I become as bodied as bliss, that's okay. Because how many old identifications of ourselves would actually naturally go away if we totally embrace bliss? And so there's a little bit of a like, oh, I'm in the in between now. I'm in the unknown. I don't know who I am because I've identified myself with being all these things. And if I give up all those erroneous information things, then my set point for being alive, I won't know what it is. And then I won't know who I am and how will I live. All that. Mm. Okay, and all the receptor cell sites we have to the old world energies and the old habits of being alive um, that we've misidentified ourselves with as being human. Would you be willing to allow those receptor sites now to adjust to to bliss? So what if the old receptor sites have become redundant because the old world is dead, it's over, it's done, and the new receptor sites are in place. So now we're actually becoming the architecturalists, and the engineers of not just our lives, but our bodies. Because our body is fascinating. It doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. And when we're willing to allow it to be different, we've given it permission to allow it to be different. It's just fascinating to me. So, like, what is it actually to be human? Like, what if we only are just stepping into the very tip of the iceberg? Ah, And so if you're blissed out in your life, you can ask yourselves this: how many superpowers and capacities and abilities and intelligence and brilliance would be, how much more of that would be available to you in every moment? So we've kind of we've kind of made bliss, and it's just like, I don't know, the nature of what the world's been, like an incidental resource in our lives. But what if it was never that? What if it was a rocket fuel for our creative capacity and our capacity to generate anything? What if it's not an incidental resource at all? What if that's where all our potency and our superpowers and our brilliance lies? And so when we become willing to live a life that is blissful, and when we become willing to become alive as bliss, how many doors open in your life, in your world, in your mind, in your heart, in your perceptual reality, in your scope of what's possible? And how much more clarity and ease and elegance is there? Oh, and would you be willing to allow yourself to have the generosity of that, and to architecture and engineer that for your own self and for all of humanity? Sometimes standing on the leading edge of the leading edge is a little uncomfortable because we don't know, right? We're just like going into unknown, uncharted territory. So would you be willing to know that you have the capacity for that? You are like the super ops of consciousness, and you were designed for this, and you have everything within you to actualize the magnificence of your presence. It'll be like so much easier than the other, trying to live in constructs and worlds that don't really acknowledge or honor or accommodate the truth of what we are. And so what would it be to live in a world where that was no longer necessary and we just showed up and brought it all? And what would it be to generate an environment for us, for ourselves, that is that? Oh, something else. Yes, okay. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Oh. Would you be willing to step into the mystery of that? Mm. And so this is part of the ask call we did. There was some, when we ask for something, if we have energies, which, I mean, these energies have been moving out of our system pretty quickly as we're willing to let them go in the last, I don't know, 6 months, probably, sure, pretty tuned up, pretty intense. Yeah. So when we ask, so just notice you may have old energies coming up and old intensities coming up. Please don't take them personally. Please just allow them to go. It's like, oh, this is now on its way out. This is no longer pertinent to my life or my living or reality. Don't grab it and try to figure out and understand it. Just allow it to move through your system, because we do tend to experience the energetics of it sometimes a little bit when it's on its way out. So don't take it personally. And you're not doing anything wrong, and there's nothing bad. It's the nature of the time. It's the nature of the grace of this present here now time on the planet Earth. There used to be a time where you had like worked so hard to get all that old information out, and now it's just like spitting out of us. So let it spit out. Track better out than in. it's there's, I don't know how that works, but there's a whole bunch of light and information that's just washing us and allowing us to very elegantly step out of old limitations and old perceptions and old patternings. Would you dare? Would you dare to live beyond what anyone you know is living? I double dog dare ya.
You know, as I was saying earlier, how my relationship's changing. And a lot of that's myself too, you know. I'm making the changes and others see it around me. So the bliss is working. What can I say?
We're projectors of reality.
Yes.
It is the things and the people and the events and the circumstances around us are not accidental at all. They're information for us to step into the highest awareness and capacity of our to become aware that we are creators and the potency we have to create, and to come into resonance with that which is life inducing. And it's like, it's kind of fun because it's kind of like Christmas. It's like, oh, look what I created. Oh, look what I created, right? And it really is that. Like, I don't really know if you'd ever take that for granted, because it's just so delightful. And the ways that it comes, because we create it, but we don't really know how it's going to show up. And so it's like, oh, wow. Excellent. So would you be willing to allow bliss to show up in your life by ways and means that you hadn't imagined? So the interior, exterior conditions, environment of that. And would you be willing to allow yourself to be surprised?
And would you be willing to acknowledge that bliss is pretty sweet? It's all right to have it coming at you all the time, but just to acknowledge with gratitude the wonderful feelings that it brings with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, gratitude. Thank you. Yeah. Well, so there's a thing. We have something called a reticular actuator, and they say that um, basically what it does is it focuses our attention and brings to our awareness that which we've asked for. And so it's like somehow it just like something we may not have noticed before. Once we ask for it and we put it on the table, it's like it pings our attention or draws our attention. Like it's shinier, or it's brighter, or it's sparklier, or it's louder, or we just like, oh, what's that? Like it just pulls us. And so we like, it's actually a part of our physical system, the reticular actuator. And so yeah, would you be willing to allow your reticular actuator to go hum fully? Because there's a thing that, okay, so those things, like Mom was saying, okay, about being grateful, those things, your senses will be attuned and become much more sensitive to the things that will bring you bliss now than they were before. We could just skip over them and not even notice them, or not notice them as fully or deeply, or receive them in their fullness of what the gift actually was. But once you start to orientate your reticular actuator to paying attention to bliss and bringing bliss and showing you where it is, and allowing yourself to hum to that, you will begin to see it everywhere and notice circumstances and events. And so things that you couldn't even be grateful before, because you didn't have the capacity to perceive them. They were just invisible to your awareness. So we're expanding the scope and awareness to bliss, so that we have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the heart to know that we can actualize that that's already actualized in us and around us, and is alive and well on our planet, because we choose to make it so. And where two or more gather and they agree. Oh, would you be willing to agree to that? That bliss is alive and well on our planet. And that anybody who would like it, it is there. Okay. And would you be willing to, I think we did this in a different call, but I think it was for something else. Would you be willing to put the planet in your heart? And to allow the bliss, the river of bliss, the ocean of bliss, the bliss that you are generating through your bones, through your blood, through your body, to flow through the planet, to all the meridians, to all the temples, to all beings, to the environment, to the space between the molecules, most especially. Because there's a lot of that if we can all fit in a sugar cube. Okay, so allowing that to flow through, and the waters, right? The oceans, the rivers, the ponds, the streams, the rivers, the rain, and the sky. And the outside around the sky part. I don't know what that's called. That, all the meridians of that and all the, yeah, would you be, yeah, yeah. And so a few years ago, I started to hear it was over before it began. It was over before it began. So the old world energies and the dead world energies are done and over. Would you like to acknowledge that? And everywhere we justify re-stimulating the old world energies in our thoughts, emotions, or bodies, would you please like to retire? I'm a bliss generator now. That's it. The rest is redundant, not necessary, not pertinent. And know too, you guys, that so one of my friends said to me today, they said, so well, like I've had some ups and downs. Like are you like always like whatever happy and in bliss? And I'm like, no, there's old energies moving out of my system still. There's old energies. And I'm also aware of the people around me, their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and energetic, how their energies are flowing through their bodies. And so everywhere, be mindful not to take those personally and own those. Because just because you're perceiving it in your body does not make it yours. So I would say those are the two main things around that. Is there something else around that? Okay. Okay, so we have the heart and the planet. Okay. And so is the planet a little happier now than it was before? Yeah. And how does it feel to be the generosity of that through your body? Not like for an entire civilization, the generosity of that. It's time. It's time. Humanity is ready for this. We've been waiting for this for eons of time. So it's up to us to claim our sovereignty and our capacity to create and generate and transmit and commit to being a life inducing element here, because we can. If you so choose. Seems like a good option. Yeah. Okay, wow. Is there anything? So let's take a seed of this bliss and plant it in the planet as a notification to ourselves, as a notification to all other beings, and a notification to all of creation as to our choice, free will choice, and commitment and willingness to be the receiver, generator, transmitter of bliss here in this realm at this time, for all time, throughout time. And thank you, thank you. And so it is now, as it has always been so. Oh, and we're just going to put our fingers together, and this will just allow and cross your ankles, and this just allows, from running our hand over our meridian, everything to settle into a nice little integrated place. Oh, and while we're doing this, let's just talk about completion for a moment. Any old world energies, packages that you still have open and functioning in your body, would you be willing to allow those to come to completion now? Right? It is over, it is done. It is over, it is done, and it is over, and it is done. And I acknowledge that that phase is over. I am not designed to play in that. That is complete. I have stepped beyond into my more essential nature, my vast presence, and the grace of what it is to be human. My body is no longer a receptacle for the old X distortions of what it is to be human. I now choose to embody the truth and explore. And so, yes, I would just allow that completion to just finish circling through it. That might run for a little while in your bodies. And ask it to run until the completion is complete. Hmm. Hmm. Thanks for playing with me in Bliss, you guys. That's magnificent.